Humanity has started to truly face the problem of protecting the plant world at the end of the 1960s. On a global scale and in some countries, the committees on the protection of rare kinds of animals and plants were established. Later, the red lists of the International Union and other countries were published, and the Global Environment Fund was established. The red list is an alarm signal. Kazakhstan's government issued a decree to publish the red list in January of 1978.
Новая красная книга, издание вот второе мы говорим, включает в себя уже всего 387.
The new red list in its second edition includes 387 taxonomic units. They include 364 types of plants, which are the highest tracheophytes. If we take as a comparison the red list of the Kazakh USSR published in 1981, then its first edition included only 304 kinds, 288 of which were the highest tracheophytes or vascular plants. Now you can see that the list has expanded a lot. About 84 types of highest vascular plants were added to the new edition of the red list over this period.
Красная книга растений Казахстана – это трехязычное издание. Русский, казахский, английский.
The Red List of Kazakhstan is a trilingual edition published in Kazakh, Russian and English. The first volume is on animals, the second is on plants. Here are pages devoted to every species. This is the Gymnospermium altaicum. There is a description of the species type, its distribution and aerial map. The red spots here indicate the places in Kazakhstan where this plant grows. And this is the Alatau saffron, or Eurodictium of Kolpakovsky. These are monotypic pages, and this is the document which is used to protect rare plants. The plant world of Kazakhstan is incredibly diverse. The reason is its geographic location. High mountains, steppes, deserts and semi-deserts are represented by their own kinds of plants, most of which are endemic, which means they cannot be found anywhere else. The biodiversity of the Trans-Ili Alatau is a treasure that will ensure the development of future generations and allow to preserve the genetic fund of different kinds of species. The Ili Alatau National Park was established not only to preserve the beauty of the Trans-Ili Alatau. The mountains are the green heart of a large area where over 2 million people live. The mountain forests regulate the water runoff, enrich the air with oxygen and phytoncides. They provide protection from the rain and spring floods, slow down the snow melting process, convert the surface runoff to a subsurface runoff, and impede the formation of landslides and land erosion. Oxygen, water, vegetable proteins, carbohydrates, vitamins, and finally the beauty of this amazing landscape. All this is given to us by the green plants. This is the place where under the sunlight photosynthesis takes place, the mystical transformation of chemical elements such as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, carbon dioxide into live matter, trees, flowers, fruits and crops. By taking care of the natural diversity, we support the most important thing, life on planet Earth. At the end of February, early March, the ice-cold melting water literally pushes from under the ground towards the sunlight the very first flower, the Alatau saffron. Sometimes its white buds are surrounded with snow. There is a reason people call it a snowdrop. The saffron, or the Alatau crocus, is of the iris family, reaches a height of up to 15 centimeters. The blooming period from February to March. It is negatively impacted by mass collection for bouquets, uncontrolled cattle grazing, and other agricultural activities. It is protected everywhere in the Aksu-Jabaglı, Almaty sanctuaries, and in the Ili Alatau National Park. Every region has its own types of these snowdrop plants. For us, this is the Alatau saffron, or crocus. All the residents of Almaty know it. In Altai, it is the Siberian kandık. It is the very first flower to bloom after the snow season. In central Kazakhstan, it is the windflower, or the paske flower. And the real snowdrop is a plant with beautiful white flowers that grows only in the Caucasus and the Mediterranean countries. It is a plant of the Galanthus species, or the Amaryllis family. Our snowdrop, or the Alatau crocus, or Bayshishek in Kazakh, is a plant of the iris family. It is distinguished from others by a gentle white flower with a purple back. This flower of 6 petals is rolled in a tube and fixes under the ground to a bulbous tuber. There is no stem as it is, so when the plant is collected you have to dig it up or even take from the ground with the bulb. It is often simply collected for bouquets by those who come for recreation, and unfortunately, often people gather them for sale. The problem of protecting this kind is that it cannot reproduce itself vegetatively. The wild saffron, same as our species of plants, reproduces only through seeds. And if someone gathers the plants during their blooming period, it means there will be no next generation. So even if you don't dig it out, but simply keep cutting off the same plant for several years in a row, the bulb will die. The plant will not live anymore. They will bloom in nature for the first time only after 12 to 15 years. In the first year, it is a small thread-like leaf, and a tiny bulbous tuber is laid. Then it takes 10 to 15 to reach the very first blooming stage. And after that, if the plant remains untouched, it can grow and bloom for several tens of years. The second plant is the Iridodictium of Kolpakovsky, or also called reticulated iris. It also blooms about 10 days after the saffron. It is a short plant, but the flower is large and beautiful. And the same way when it is cut or dug out, its population decreases. Its aerial map is a little smaller than of the crocus. We found it recently on the territory spanning from the southern slopes of the Trans-Ili Alatau until the western Tian Shan, but not in such large numbers, with sporadic populations and not in millions as the crocus. The Iridodictium of Kolpakovsky opens its beautiful buds next to the blooming saffron. It looks especially impressive against the background of last year's faded grass. It is distinguished by a great variety of colors. Perhaps it is the most beautiful representative of the iris family. The plant is up to 20 centimeters tall, and its blooming period is from the middle of March until the end of April. Because of its beauty, it is massively gathered for bouquets. In 1978, it was added to the Red List of Kazakhstan.
Эти виды уже находятся на грани исчезновения, а это, соответственно, потеря нашего видового разнообразия, потеря генов.
These plant species are already on the brink of extinction, which for us means the loss of diversity and loss of the genetic fund. So the work on the publishing of red lists is very important. Moreover, we have already published this list and are already working in parallel on the next edition. We already have to prepare a new list of rare and endangered species of plants. This plant grows very well in nature and blooms from the seeds in the 4th year. It is a great addition to the alpine hills. At the same time, another rare type of plant can be found in the groves of the wild Asian apple, Gymnospermum altaicum. Its bright yellow bells signal the arrival of the long-awaited spring, and it looks like a miniature blooming palm tree. This plant is of the barberry family. Its flowers are just like the barberry ones, a brush of tiny yellow flowers and original judicate leaves. The plant itself is not tall, 10 to 15 centimeters. It is also reproduced only by seeds, so the population of these species is dropping dramatically. It is also gathered for bouquets. You can often find combined yellow-blue bouquets consisting of Gymnospermum altaicum and Iridodictium. For as long as we work on nature protection, we have to keep telling people so that they are aware. Because many people have a negative impact on nature, not because they mean to, but because they lack knowledge. And of course it involves environmental education for people, and we need to start from a young age, from kindergarten and first grades of school, because this is the age when a person is more open to the fact that nature has to be protected. Gymnospermum altaicum grows very well in nature, and it blooms from the seeds after the 3rd year. Its unusual form and bright yellow flowers will excite even the most experienced admirers of the alpine hills. It is of the barberry family, and the blooming period from March to April, and reaches a height of up to 25 centimeters. The ancient and mysterious Trans-Ili Mountains. Around 30 million years ago, during the Paleogene age, this area had a dense vegetation of the Central Asian subtropical savanna. A unique plant of that ancient flora, Nedzvetskaya or Incarvile Simrechinskaya, can be found today among the silver agnatioids of the Trans-Ili flatlands. After the past periods of glaciation, at the moment the climate here is different, extremely continental with harsh winters and hot and dry summers. But apparently the Earth remembers the colors and aromas of the long-gone subtropics and has created other beautiful plants: tulips, crocuses, irises, and Junos. And it is hard to imagine these clay-pebbled slopes without the tender bluish-violet bouquets surrounded by the gagea and the tulips. The gagea creates a perfect golden background for all the first blooming flowers. It appears from the ground just a few days before the Alatau saffron, and hence holds the garland of victory. All parts of the plant contain garlic ether oils, which contain sulfur. The small bulbs are edible, and the leaves are suitable for preparing spicy salads. In alternative medicine, it is used as wound healing treatment, but its most important purpose is that it is the food for the hungry bees after the long winter. Gagea is the most valuable early spring honey plant. The gagea of Popov has been added to the red list of Kazakhstan. This species of gagea, just like its closest species of tulips, belongs to the family of the lily-flowered. Gagea is one of the amazing plants with a wonderful taste and medicinal properties that has been brought to Eurasia from the African continent. Kushakevich's Juno is also distinguished by its beauty and can be compared with the orchid of Juno Kushakevich. The romantic name of the sort was given to it in the name of the Greek goddess Juno, the patroness of women, family, and marriage. Kushakevich's Juno is endemic to Kazakhstan. It can be found only here at the plateau-like peaks of ancient mountains. It decorates the forest-free land with the beauty of its bluish purple and lavender flowers. Juna is a typical representative of the Iridaceae family. It is very little known and reproduces from seeds. The seedlings in Almaty's condition start to bloom in the 4th year. In wild nature, it suffers from the agricultural activity of humans, the grazing of cattle, and the gathering for bouquets. It has been added to the Red List of Kazakhstan and is recommended for broad introduction to cultivation and segregation of the special protected areas. Just like everything original, beautiful, and rare, the Regel's tulip is very hard to find. When you see this treasure of the plant world of Kazakhstan for the first time, you might wonder how such a miracle can grow on the lifeless rocks covered with the desert blanket. And then you realize that this is the visual incarnation of the unity and struggle of opposites, the most beautiful flowers and the black mountain rocks. It is hard to imagine a more harmonic form for this floristic perfection. If there are quite a lot of similar flowers because of their similarity with the snowdrops, the locals call the Regel's tulip by Jibek, but other kinds have nothing similar to this one and only a corrugated leaf. It also looks as if the waves of the ancient seas froze in it. They're up to 1.5 centimeters tall, hard and leather-like. This is the result of its adaptation to survive in the hot and dry conditions of the desert mountains. The plant is 5 to 12 centimeters tall. Usually the classic version has a single leaf and 1 primrose flower, and only rarely can one find plants with 2 flowers. We were lucky enough to find a very rare one with 3 flowers. Because of various reasons, this ancient relic species is very hard to preserve in natural conditions. The Regel's tulip starts to grow very early, at the end of March, and hungry birds bite the still green buds, and the sheep finish up the seed capsules, and this plant reproduces only from seeds. Also, the problem is that the Regel's tulip does not grow in nature. It will be a pity if this set of negative effects will result in the disappearance of the species. We simply have to preserve it. In the winter, the tulip's bud enter a deep sleep, gathering energy for the rapid spring growth, so in the warm days, nature can enjoy the view of these living multicolored diamonds. Our people have such a mindset that we have a lot of everything. Indeed, the country is big, we have a lot of space, many plants, and lots of different species of them. So when you have a lot of everything, you don't value it. And that is true, there is a lot, but it's a lot today, and in 50 years from now on, there will be less. And we would want our country to preserve its treasures because many kinds of species don't grow only here. That is why the problem of preservation is not only in the need to protect the beauty of the surrounding nature, but also in preserving genetic fund that will in the future provide more and more new species. In the wild, it exists here for millions of years, and the sorts artificially developed by humans exist for 50 to 100 years, and they require constant renewal, otherwise they die out. That is why the protection of the wild species is important not only for their beauty, but for the real practical use as well.